I smiled at Lisa and said, I can't believe we're finally getting married, and she laughed. I know, I'm so excited, while I thought about all the overtime I worked to pay for every detail. I told her, I wanted your day to be perfect, and she squeezed my hand. You always take care of me. I met Ryan and said, thanks for planning everything, and he replied, it's my job, man, like he was just another vendor. I kept thinking, I trust him, I trust her, everything is fine, even though my chest felt tight. I watched Lisa lean closer to Ryan and whisper, and I joked, you two plotting surprises? She smiled too quickly, just wedding stuff. I told myself, I'm being silly, I'm just nervous. I said, I can't wait to call you my wife, and she said, soon, but her eyes drifted away. I thought, maybe I'm tired, maybe I'm insecure, but my heart kept warning me. I walked through the venue and whispered, this is our dream, and she answered, it will be perfect, so I chose hope over fear. I told myself, stay calm, and I said aloud, we are strong, while she nodded, always, and I forced a smile, pretending my doubt was just pre-wedding nerves today even though my gut kept screaming. I watched Lisa turn her phone away and I asked, why are you hiding that from me? And she said, I'm not hiding anything, but her eyes avoided mine. I said, just look at me, and she forced a smile that felt wrong. Jake pulled me aside and whispered, something's going on with her and Ryan, and I snapped, stop making things up. He said, I'm trying to protect you, and I replied, you don't know her like I do. I saw Ryan say, Lisa, we need to go over the seating chart alone, and she followed him without hesitation. I told myself, it's just work, even though my chest hurt. Jake muttered, you're blind, and I shouted, get out of my business. I watched Lisa laugh with Ryan and felt a cold weight in my gut. I whispered, why won't she meet my eyes? And she looked away again. My heart begged me to trust her, but my thoughts kept screaming, this isn't right. I clenched my jaw and said, I need the truth, because I couldn't live in this lie anymore. I picked up Lisa's phone and whispered, I just need to check the time, but her screen lit up with Ryan's name and my heart stopped. I read, last night was amazing, and I muttered, no, this can't be real. Another message said, he doesn't suspect us, and I felt my hands start to shake. I said, you both lied to me, even though no one could hear me. My chest felt tight as I scrolled through secret plans, hotel names, and fake excuses about me. I thought, every smile she gave me was a lie, and it hurt more than I could say. I remembered our dates, our laughs, and I whispered, I was so blind. Part of me wanted to storm in and scream, how could you do this? But another voice said, be smart, don't waste this chance. I told myself, if I confront her now, she will just lie again. I wiped my eyes and said, I need justice, not tears. I locked the phone and promised, I'll stay quiet but I won't stay weak, because I was already planning something that would expose them both and finally give me back my power. I said, I will gather every message, every picture, and every lie, and when the moment is right, I will show the whole world the truth, so they can never hide behind there. I smiled at Lisa and said, how was your day? While I already knew she was lying, and she replied, just planning the wedding, without meeting my eyes. I nodded and told myself, keep acting normal, even as my heart burned. Ryan said, everything is on schedule, and I answered, great, while thinking you have no idea what I know. I watched Lisa text him and asked, who's that? And she said, just a vendor, like I was stupid. I forced a laugh and said, of course, even though it hurt. Inside I kept saying, I could destroy you both, and that thought scared me. Emily called and I whispered, I found something terrible, and she said, stay calm, think before you act. I told her, I want to scream, and she replied, power comes from patience. I listened to her and said, you're right, I won't rush. I kept saving messages, photos, and lies while pretending to be the loving fiancé. I looked at Lisa and thought, you have no idea what's coming. I told myself, I will not forgive this, and I finally decided, I'm going to expose them in front of everyone, because they deserve to face the truth. I whispered to myself, save every screenshot, while copying their messages and hotel bookings onto my phone. I told Emily, I have enough to ruin them, and she replied, then make sure everyone sees it. I called the venue and said, I need a projector for a surprise, and they answered, we'll have it ready. My hands trembled as I thought I could just leave, I could walk away and never look back, but then I heard Lisa's voice in my head saying, you're imagining things, and my anger returned. I said, they don't get to escape this, because every lie still burned inside me. I packed my phone with proof and told myself, Stay strong, don't break now. When I arrived at the wedding venue, I smiled at Lisa and said, everything looks perfect, while she said, I'm so happy, not knowing what was coming. I looked around at the decorations and thought, this will not be a celebration, this will be the truth. I shook hands with guests and whispered, just a little longer, as my heart pounded. I forced myself to breathe and said, act normal, because tonight I would finally reveal everything. I stood there as the music played and I said, everyone looks so happy, while my chest felt like it would break. I watched Lisa walk toward me and I whispered, you look beautiful, even though her smile felt fake to me now. The guests clapped and I thought, this is all a lie. I took a deep breath and said, I need to say something, then grabbed the microphone as my hands shook. I told the room, this wedding is not what you think, and gasps filled the air. I pressed play and said, watch this, as messages and photos flashed on the screen. I heard people whisper, oh my God, while Lisa screamed, turn it off, and Ryan's face went pale. I said, you both lied to me, and my voice cracked but I kept going. The proof kept rolling and I felt my heart breaking with every image. I looked at Lisa and said, this is what you did, while she cried and shook. I turned to the guests and said, now you know the truth, and I felt tears burn in my eyes. Even though I was crushed, I also felt free because their secret was finally dead and everyone could see the betrayal I had lived with alone. I heard Lisa cry, please forgive me, and I replied, you didn't just betray me, you destroyed us. Ryan tried to slip away and I said, don't run now, while people stared at him. I looked at her parents and whispered, I trusted her with my life, and they lowered their eyes in shame. I told Lisa, you smiled at me while you were lying, and she sobbed, I was confused. I shook my head and said, you made your choice. The guests whispered and I felt every word hit my heart. I said, I gave you everything, and she answered, I didn't mean to hurt you. I replied, but you did, and that truth felt heavy. I told her, you don't get my love anymore, and she reached for me. I stepped back and said, this ends now. I turned away while she cried and Ryan stood frozen. I walked down the aisle alone and told myself, I won't let their lies define me, leaving them behind in their own mess. I heard people say, did you see what happened? And I replied, everyone knows the truth now. I saw messages saying Ryan was fired and I whispered, that's what lies earn. Lisa called me crying, my life is ruined, and I said, you ruined it yourself. Even though my chest still hurt, I told myself, I'm not weak anymore. I went back to work and said, I need to focus on me, and my boss answered, you're stronger than you think. Friends told me, we're proud of you, and I nodded, I had no choice. Lisa tried again, please talk to me, and I said, there's nothing left to say. I felt pain but I also felt free. I looked at my reflection and said, you survived this. Every step forward felt heavy yet powerful. I told myself, I will build a better future, and that promise gave me hope. I stopped checking my phone and started planning my life because even though betrayal broke me, it also showed me I deserved more than lies and false love. I looked at myself and said, you're still standing, and that felt like a victory. I told a friend, I won't trust blindly again, and he replied, you're wiser now. I thought about Lisa and whispered, you changed me, not with anger but with clarity. Every scar reminded me I survived. I said, I won't let betrayal define my future, and that promise felt strong. I started dreaming again and told myself, I deserve better. People asked, do you miss her? And I answered, I miss who I thought she was. I felt lighter every day. I looked ahead and said, my life is mine now. Even though the pain never fully fades, I carry it with pride. I said, I chose myself, and that choice saved me. To anyone listening I say, walking away with dignity is the greatest revenge. I close this chapter knowing I lost a woman but I found myself, and that is the victory that no one can ever take away from me again.